Howdy doody, Timothy.
Hello, hello.
Ryan.
Good to see you,
Greetings.
as always.
What do you want to talk about?
I don't know. You did that. I almost just instinctively wanted to
Namaste.
say namaste. You know,
That's not
I'm
namaste.
gonna stay right here and wait for you to say something. So,
What does namaste even mean? I mean, I say it, but I don't even know what it means. That's probably not a good thing to know. Like, you should know what words mean as you say them,
so
or
it's just
maybe
like
learn about them later.
yeah, I don't know, episode 200 and something, and we'll get canceled because I don't know. You know,
You
I think it's
you
just
have met these. Continue. Sorry.
no. I thought I was going to say what my take was on the. I think that it's just like
Bowing to you. That's it. I'm bowing to you. Okay. There
the
you
light
go.
in me sees
That's
the
it?
light in you, according to James, producer James.
That is not exactly what I was expecting to see. I always thought it was something more than that. All right. What ifs? So you've met these individuals, our guests today.
Yep, we met one time. We met on the rooftop at the assembly building.
Yes.
Several months ago. I don't know. I am terrible at time calculations. How long it's been? Just not good. But yes, we did meet at a rooftop.
Function. Timelines, memory lanes. Yeah, that can always be a difficult thing to try to keep up with. I remember a couple weeks ago, you and I were doing this memory lane chat, and to try and piece things together was, even though we're like 15 years ago, that was
interestingly enough, memory lane. I mean, so it almost blends right into what we're going to talk about today with sunset messaging. So welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, Tim. Hey, Zach. Thank you.
Yeah. Always fun to have a foursome show here and to see how this goes. You know, we're used to doing threes.
Well, and the thing is, at least I don't know how it is on your screens, but it's like when we have three, it's always us two on the top and the guests on the bottom. Now, at least now it's a perfect square and you guys are on the bottom. I don't know if there's a way to reorganize that or anything, but from a level, from a dominant standpoint, I always wondered if people would look at that like, these guys trying to take the dominant stance, if you will.
We look down at you. Yes.
Oh goodness. No, I appreciate
you really think about that,
Tim? Four squares.
I've never thought about that.
Really? Yeah. It has crossed my mind a time or two. And clearly it hasn't weighed on me that much in the sense of this is the first time I brought it up in 200 episodes. So
it is interesting. I like to see like different broadcasts, not just our show, but like different broadcasts that have interview shows to see where the placement of things are, where the humans are. And it's like sometimes like there's video that's showing, and then there's people that are actually like in little boxes on the screen somewhere. It's very interesting to see how these companies are distributing the real estate, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think most have done a very good job of figuring that out, and maybe it's just because it's awkward, but it's definitely a challenge, I think. And so, like the try box, when like let's say we take off Dave real quick, right? So like there's space right here below that is just wasted space. Now, I guess we could throw in things like this, but it's just weird and awkward to have that open space.
That's a better use of the real estate.
See. we need fish and Dave's mug on here. I mean, this is great.
Yeah. So sunset messages. Walk us through. You have a 60-second type of.
Go, Josh.
Yeah, funny you should ask, Tim. I'd like to test out our 60-second pitch idea that we're going to be taking for a test drive next week. And so, without further ado. Tim, Zach, I'd like you both to, if you do me a favor, and think of the most important person in your life who you have lost. And then just holler out once you have that person in mind.
Well, interestingly enough, the reason, so we were talking before we went live about going to Michigan. We were just in Michigan because my mother-in-law had just passed away. So that being extremely fresh. That
I'm sorry to hear that, Tim.
Yeah.
And Zach, whenever you think of your individual,
I don't know. Only thing I can think of is the dog that I lost 4 years ago. But from a human perspective, probably a grandparent.
Okay.
I would think. Yeah.
And then now, if you do me a favor and think of the specific reason why they were important to you in this life, and Tim, for you, that's going to be obvious. She was your mother, man. And Zach, these are both pretty obvious. But if you want to think of one specific thing that stood out, that would be great. And then I'd like you to ask yourself, what would you give to hear their voice one last time?
Yeah, it's interesting in the sense of we're at the viewing. Actually, tomorrow will be a week, and people were pulling up old voicemails, and like right now, like that's probably one of the, unless you dig up a video or something right now, but like that could be something that you've heard several times. But yeah, that's.
Yeah, there was a common theme throughout our customer discovery was voicemails and leaving, legacy letter, or in one case, I think, Dave, there was a cookbook that was passed down throughout the family. That was kind of neat. And then one more question. What would your loved ones give to be able to hear your voice one last time after you're gone?
I don't know if they want to hear my voice. I mean, they probably say that. Oh, really? Ugh.
Maybe they would give anything to hear you say something nice, Zach. Something.
Oh, come on, I say nice things.
Zinger.
Or maybe this is another opportunity for us to have a product where people pay to never hear someone's voice again.
Yeah.
Thanks, Zach.
Yeah, at least my voice isn't as bad as Gilbert Gottfried. I mean, geez.
Right?
Oh, geez. Yeah. But yeah, sunsetmessages.com allows you to give this gift to your loved ones. It allows you to create messages containing pictures, audio, video, and words. And those messages are then stored on our servers, and they are released to your friends, family, and loved ones once you pass away. And so that is the 10,000 foot view of what Sunset Messages does. Dave, maybe you could, if you want to add anything.
Just that they'll be delivered via text and email.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So the person who is recording the message, what type of things are you anticipating them saying? Because it's them while they're alive to then be heard after. And so are you guys guiding them in, here's some things that you could say? It's a very, I don't know what I would say if I was in that situation.
Well, I guess, yeah. So I'm just curious, do you guys, so someone's, and we can get into how the business works, but perhaps you have a bunch of prompts that you ask, hey, the such and such just occurred. Tell us how you feel about that. And then you save those conversations, and then they get released when it's scheduled or when it's appropriate.
At this point, that's not how it works, but we have a full page of prompts, some brainstorming ideas to give them thoughts on how to start their messages and what to include in them. I love you, I forgive you. I think we've got about 15 different subheadings of ideas to get them started on the messages.
Yeah, that's again, this being so fresh for me, I guess for something that I would want, at my, I want a funeral. I don't want a funeral.
Mm-hmm.
And, I want something, to me, I would like something to be released. It's hey, I don't want any tears shed. Let's celebrate the great times we had together, or, something like that. That would be of my interest to release that, so that, along those lines. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tim, you and I see eye to eye on that. And I had the unfortunate, I don't want to call it pleasure, but the words have escaped me right now. But my previous employer, they lost, so two of the technicians over there both lost their wives within a week of each other. That's a very sad situation. And I attended both of those funeral services. And then additionally, the team lost a sales rep. And so I had three funerals within about 3 weeks, maybe call it a month, that I had to go to. And it was interesting to see the juxtaposition of the Catholic funeral that I went to and then the celebration of life ceremony that I went to for another individual. And I think both have a purpose, but I really enjoyed the celebration of life and the general party that ensued to celebrate this young man's fantastic life. And so, yeah, you and I see eye to eye there. I don't know. I love that experience.
Yeah, I dig the fact that, I mean, gosh, life is really, really precious, and you never know. So, I mean, I just think, gosh, if you were able to pre-record something, and if life went away too soon and you had kids or whatever, you'd want to, release something to, your child on graduation day or whatever the case is. They get married. I don't know. There's so many different things that I think that, that resonates with me in the sense of, some can view if you lost life, that what would you, to your point, Josh, what would you give to be able to hear your father or your mother send something to you on momentous occasions? I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and we'd like to think that folks would be using this for, I don't know, several reasons, but one would be the legacy letter aspect, where, for example, my father might leave his hopes and aspirations for me as I continue on through this life. And then another aspect we hope that it would be used for is for comfort, just to try and be there for that individual, and then also for fun, for just looking back and celebrating. And so, just to segue quickly, unfortunately, well, I should say fortunately, we don't have access to these messages. The way the system is set up is very private in nature. So we don't know if they're using it for legacy letter or trolling, to be completely honest with you. But yeah, thought that would be worth mentioning.
I can't help but laugh. One of the fun aspects would be me telling my wife how to use all the electronics in the house. She would be lost.
She would not like you in that moment. So how does a company like Sunset Messages come to fruition? What was the inspiration? Is this something that you wanted yourself and you decided to create, or how did it come to be?
So for me, it was back in 2019, and it was a very introspective time in life for me, and I had a lot of time to think, a lot of downtime. And I've always been a serial entrepreneur. Ever since grad school, I never got the corporate job. I've had desktop publishing business. I've had a payphone business. I've had a sound massage business. I've been doing real estate for the last 20 years, and always thinking about the next idea, buying and selling things on eBay. And somewhere in one of those dark moments, this idea came to me, and I thought, I might have something here. Let's pursue this a little bit. So that was probably mid 2019. And then around Christmas time, I went back to Buffalo, which is where my family is, for the holidays. And I had been spending a lot more time talking with my sister, Renee. And she and I were growing closer because of different difficult things going on in both of our lives at the time. And I presented this idea to her, and I said, let's talk about this when we get together at Christmas. And so we spent a full day. It was the Saturday between the holidays, which is when she throws her big between the holidays party. And we spent about 2 hours just brainstorming and writing ideas down, and how we thought the business might work, and how it might look, and how pets may be involved, and a whole variety of different things. And so we just agreed at that time we were going to start working on this business. And so I came back to Virginia after the holidays, and we communicated back and forth, and we're working on the, how to move forward and incorporate and things like that. And sadly, April 5th, 2020, she passed. And I had to step back for a while after that and just give this some time. It was still something that I wanted to pursue. But later that year, I started thinking of people that I might want to partner with and people that I would gel with, and somebody that would complement my skills and vice versa. And Josh came to mind. Josh and I met through real estate, through a mutual friend. And I asked Josh to meet me at my favorite little dive bar one night, and I presented this idea to him. And Josh, I'll let you pick it up from there for a minute.
Yeah, Dave. So yeah, I remember that moment pretty clearly. Yep, sitting down at the old Cuddy Sark. I'm sure my shirt probably still smells like cigarettes. But yeah, when you asked me, I don't know, when you pitched me this idea, normally I like to take some time, run it by my better half, sit down, put some thought into this, and in that moment, it just tugged on my heartstrings so much. I said, Dave, I'm in. I don't know where this will take us, but let's figure it out. And I don't know if I said exactly that, but it was probably something to that effect. Yeah. And no regrets in that decision whatsoever. So yeah.
Yeah, so in terms of, you're now co-founders.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that we had talked about before the show was neither of you being technical co-founders. So talk us through, and this being a fairly technical aspect of the business, how do you navigate through that challenge?
Yeah, so what an interesting challenge that is. So it's kind of it's a strong ramp up as far as learning the language, being able to communicate with developers, being able to formulate requirements in the best way possible without really knowing how to do that. So lots of YouTube videos, lots of research, lots of conversations. When Dave and I first sat down and started putting this together, we didn't have access or didn't even know about software like Jira or Confluence or Azure or Lucidchart to help us kind of just plot our course. So we just used the whiteboard and some dry erase markers and made it work, and took pictures of each iteration of that whiteboard, and then eventually through networking, one of Dave's good friends led us to our developer, whose first name is Michael, and Michael was very patient with us. He understood that we are not technical co-founders, but he always took the time to try and educate us, and just he would, as he pull his screen up and be coding, he'd explain what he's doing and explain why he's doing it. He would do a great job of explaining the obstacles, what can be done, what can't be done, what's going to be more cost and time effective, and what isn't more cost and time effective. And it's worth mentioning that in addition to this, so I believe you asked earlier, and it may have been offset, so sorry about this, but is this my full-time job? Is this Dave's full-time job? And no, this is kind of our passion project, if you will. And same with our developer, Michael. He also has a day job. So with that being said, we would have liked to have expedited this process and gotten it up off the ground probably a year and a half ago, but it just wasn't in the cards with what we've got going on. And then in addition to that, we're also bootstrapping the project as well. So I can tell you, as non-technical co-founders, bootstrapping, it's an expensive affair. I can tell you that.
Michael is in the States.
Yeah, yep. Michael is stateside. Yes, sir. That's one thing. We time and time again when we met with mentors and such, we were told, guys, you might want to look about going across the pond, getting some developers from another country. And Dave and I felt pretty strongly that we wanted to try and keep it in-house if possible. So
those mentors have never done that then, because there's no way that was good advice. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've never heard of a story of anyone having good experiences with anything overseas, because there's so much of a barrier.
Yeah.
And so
that's what our thoughts were. And we were fortunate enough where Michael would even sit down in the room with us and let us watch him code. And that it was such an eye-opening experience to see how all that works behind the scenes, and really gave us some insights.
And Zach, funny you should say that, because I'm pretty sure everyone that mentioned that to us, well, not everyone, there are a couple exceptions. They're not developers. They're in a different industry, and they just know that that's where you get cost savings. But you kind of get what you pay for.
But you never get a product that is deliverable.
Exactly. You get what you pay for. And we're able to strike a deal with Michael where it was a fair deal, where we could get the job done and make sure that, he gets rewarded for his efforts. And
Well, it's interesting just in terms of how much technology has changed in the last couple of years, especially from the AI standpoint. I mean, like, is it in your roadmap that you only need a certain amount of audio recordings, and then you can, through the use of AI, you can essentially create any message that you want to with that person's voice?
Yeah, so we are definitely tracking that, and that's part of, a big part of being a co-founder and leaders of a company is trying to see that arch, look around the bend, see what's coming next, be aware of it. And although we're not necessarily able to act on it right now, yes, we are tracking that. I don't think that we want to get away from what's the word I'm looking for here? The authenticity of
Someone's
the actual
voice.
Individual saying this. I think that's important. I don't know if you guys are fans or have watched the show Black Mirror before, but they go into that, and I think in a couple different episodes.
Black Mirror. There's the show on Amazon called Upload.
I haven't seen that one.
Have you seen that, Dave?
I've seen it. Yeah, it's cute.
Yeah, it makes you really think, like, is this a possibility? Because there were some Black Mirror episodes that are like that too.
Right.
And Tim, have you ever seen it?
I have not.
Okay.
Is it worth watching?
Upload, yes, because it seems like it's a lot closer than we've ever been to that. And I think maybe as you just get older, you start thinking like that. When you're younger, you don't think about it. But like, it's like, the premise, it's a rom-com, but it's right before you pass, you have this ability to upload your virtual life into the cloud, so others, while wearing their Google glasses or Oculuses, can still communicate with you and have this kind of life. And it's quite interesting. The whole scenario of, oh wow, like, is this a thing? Like, wow.
And it really makes a difference how much you pay for it, I think, if I remember right.
Oh yeah, it's a paper play. It's so there. Yeah, I mean, so like, some people will pay a lot and they get more. Some people don't, and they just get like the GeoCities website. Like,
oh my goodness.
It's a good show. It's well done. It's one of those shows that I think everyone should watch just to think about. Like, this is, and Black Mirror is really weird. Like, but Black Mirror can be so weird that you're like, oh, that's real. That seems, it's so weird, but it's so close that it's really terrifying.
Yeah.
To reality.
Job of that show.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess to answer your question with some brevity, Tim, we're tracking that, but we don't want to lose track of the authenticity.
Sure.
So there might be a home for AI at some point.
Yeah, and it could be a second payment plan, a second tier, just in the sense of, I guess it's probably a very case-by-case basis in terms of, hey, I want to hear my dad or my mom give me a good night story or something. I don't know. I mean, you just never know.
Yeah, that's interesting option.
Thought, yeah.
What, in terms of customer discovery, though, I would love to hear in terms of like, how many people did you talk to? What's some of the feedback that you've had, and did that result in any pivots of any kind?
Yeah, so great question, Tim. So as you guys are aware, but the audience may or may not be aware that we went through the 757 Startup Studios program. An acquaintance of mine, Sean Warden, actually connected us with Hunter Walsh, the program manager over there. Initially, Sean tried to get us in there, I don't know, probably a month or two prior before we actually looked into it. And I honestly thought it was too good to be true. Chatted with Dave, and Dave's like, Josh, we should go meet with Sean. So met with Sean at the assembly building, and he introduced us to Hunter, and it was off to the races from there. So 757 Startup Studios did a decent job of pushing for the ICAP program, or for us to be involved in the ICAP program. And forgive me, I always forget what the ICAP program stands for.
Innovation Commercialization Assistance Program.
There we go, Dave. Thank you for the
through the Commonwealth of Virginia, I should say. Sorry.
Yep.
Another acronym.
And
yep.
and as many times as that has come up on this show, we should know this by now, but it does come up several times.
Nice. So, yep, we got partnered up with Rachel Frazier through the ICAP program, and she just did a fantastic job of challenging all of our assumptions and challenging us to get the heck out of the building, so to speak, and go meet with customers. And so wherever possible, Dave and I would meet face to face with customers, because I guess we're just kind of old school like that. We like the connection, but sometimes, the digital side allows us to reach out to folks that are, a long ways away, who we wouldn't otherwise be able to contact. So I think our initial phase, we did 41 customer discovery interviews. And after that, we've continued to do customer discovery. We're probably somewhere between 60 and 80, if I had to guess, maybe a little bit more if we include the B2B research. And during our initial customer discovery, we came across several instances, enough to show a pattern of the demand for something like our service. And one of those patterns was the voicemail aspect, which I believe you mentioned earlier, Tim. So we came across time and time again where people would say, yeah, I've kept my father's voicemail. I listened to it, I don't know, all during the holidays, or I pull it up, once a month, and unfortunately we've heard some sad stories where they had voicemails, and those voicemails were unfortunately lost when they would switch phones or switch providers. And that was pretty heart-wrenching. And I don't think Dave and I fully appreciated the emotional aspect of interviewing our potential customers and turning over some of these rocks. And there were on several occasions there were folks that it would get quite emotional. I know it sounds dull. Well, of course it would, but I don't know. You can know that, but it's different when you're in there interviewing them, and they're in some cases folks that, and in most cases folks that we don't really know. And because that's part of the customer discovery, is interviewing people that you're not friends or family with, or that are maybe one or two circles removed. And yeah, it was very interesting how willing they were to open up to us about these very, very emotional experiences.
In those conversations, yeah, being emotional, like, did you guys ever think about pulling the plug and saying, I can't do this because this is too emotional for me? Because it's okay.
No, it made it even more important, I think, to be successful with this.
Yeah.
Agreed. It was kind of full speed ahead. Like we've got to figure this out. We've got to look out for these folks that don't have their voicemails anymore. We've got to look out for these, I should say, future folks, right? The next generation, so to speak, if you will.
Yeah,
another good question.
Another big thing that Rachel challenged us on was who our customer really was. And in our minds, it was always the retired generation, somebody that's a little bit older, but still tech savvy. And what we hadn't thought about was, what about their kids who want to receive these messages? They could buy the messages for their parents, for their grandparents, for their aunts and uncles, something along those lines. So that caused us to pivot a little bit as well and add another group of customers, really.
Where are you right now in terms of with the product? I mean, do you have an MVP? Or are you beyond an MVP? Where do you stand?
Yeah, so MVP was, man, that was pushed out for a special friends and family release. What would have been, and Dave, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think it was
April
late
22, I think.
April. Okay.
Yeah.
Based on some feedback from that, we went in and revamped our homepage, changed. We went ahead and modified some functionality based on customer feedback. Honestly, we changed a lot of stuff, Dave. I can't even begin to go down the list. We renamed, relabeled certain things. For example, our delivery delegate functionality. I think it used to be called the executor functionality, but through customer discovery, we realized that a lot of folks, they don't have an executor of their estate. They don't have a trustee. And it's unfortunate. We can get into this a little bit later if you like, guys, but most people don't have even a will set up. So yeah, we back to your original question. Yeah, we pivoted on several occasions to accommodate good, solid customer feedback that was presented in patterns. So that way we're not just kind of chasing our tail. Oh, this person wants this feature. Let's go ahead and do that and spend all the money to do this. But it turns out it's just that one. But it's going to sound like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth right now. But one of the things that Rachel would challenge us with is that, well, guys, don't discount the outliers. If you have that one data point that's like, don't just dismiss it. Maybe take it and ask the question, dig deeper, maybe do another interview with that individual and try and better understand and then incorporate that conversation in your customer discovery. So, yeah.
Where are you? Where do you stand? I mean, what's the closest thing, or are there competitors to what you're doing right now?
Dave, do you want to take this one?
The closest one that we found is a company in Australia that just offers videos that are pre-made and kind of pre-canned, but there's nothing quite like us out there. Yeah, we haven't looked in a couple of months, but it's nothing exactly like us.
There is one other company, Dave. I believe they're called the Postage, something to that effect.
That one, yeah.
Yeah, and they are stateside, and they're more of it seems that they're more of a full service. I shouldn't say full service. They offer a lot more services regarding end of life, transition to end of life.
Right.
Yeah. And I believe they have the message aspect as kind of a footnote
a more
in there
version of what we have.
Yeah. And I do believe, if memory serves, that it's more text related. I don't believe they have audio or video functionality at this point.
So you wouldn't consider Facebook as a competitor and the ability to go through someone's feed?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Yeah, I think that with Facebook, especially with, forgive me, I don't dabble in Facebook a whole lot these days, but I know that they have, Dave, is it a legacy contact or something to that effect? I think Apple does the same thing, that allows people to go in and manage their websites or their Facebook pages, and then you can memorialize a Facebook page, and then you can kind of have something to go back and look through, all their posts, all their memories, all their videos. We believe that what sets us apart from something like that is ours is more personal. It's more private. Facebook, honestly, like, you go on Facebook these days and it's a troll show. Most people's Facebook pages it's typically politics at worst and kittens at best, and every now and then you'll see some good stuff there, but that's kind of how we set ourselves apart. It's very private.
That is so interesting.
I don't disagree with that. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's just like, gosh, when you think about how Facebook started and where it is today, I log on to Facebook maybe twice a year at this point, and but gosh, when you think about the legacy that you leave, and you think about the worst legacy that you can leave on, because it is someone just Just being angry about the world.
So it's a wild ride on that place.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So you said basically no competitors are like you. Does that mean that there's actually an opportunity for this in the business? Because oftentimes when there's not enough businesses in the space, does that mean there really is a space? Does that mean
you know what I'm thinking? To add to that, Zach, it's almost like one of those things where it's like, I think that it become really challenging for you all to determine what the course of what the right course that you should follow, because you can pivot in so many different directions in terms of, do you do estate stuff? Do you do make me feel good stuff? Do you, like, let me share this recipe? I mean, there's so many different ways that you can go. So how do you choose the path?
Yeah.
And Tim and Zach, you can see it in our backlog, the amount of directions that we are able to go in, but we don't have the resources. And it's, you're right. A big part of what we do is trying to stay focused on what we believe to be our righteous trajectory, we'll call it. So as far as, I think, Zach, you asked the great question, the tough question. And I think what you were getting at is oftentimes when you don't have competition, it's because there may or may not be a demand there. And I think that you've hit on something decent there. I believe, again, and Dave and I believe strongly that there is a demand for this, but not everyone's our customer. And that's something that we also noted in customer discovery. Is that some people want to be the ostrich with their head in the sand. I'll share with you all a funny story. So during our customer discovery phase, once we pushed the original Friends and Family release out, I sent out an invite to my chiropractor to just get some input from him. I've always appreciated his opinion on things through various conversations. And so I sent that to him. And then during my next visit with him, he shuts the door, which he never does. And he says, young man, the next time you have me questioning my life trajectory and the validity of my life, I would really appreciate that you give me a warning or a heads up, because I was sitting down on my couch with my dog and my boys and my wife, questioning all things life related. And he did tell me, he said, Josh, I'm the ostrich with his head in the sand. I'm not going to die. And that was fascinating for us to hear, right? Because here we are, a very intelligent, successful man, and he just doesn't want to have these conversations. And so I think what Dave and I are running into right now is, and to your point, I guess further to your point, Zach, is our take rate is a bit slow right now. We do have paying customers, which we're very thankful for. What we're running into is a lot of folks don't like to have these difficult conversations, and the statistics will substantiate that when you look at the percentage of folks, especially younger folks, that do and don't have wills, which we mentioned earlier. So I think a big part of what Dave and a big part of our obstacle at this point in time is just getting people to talk about this, talk about the fact that the only thing that's certain is that the four of us chatting right now, sadly enough, we're going to pass away. It's going to happen. And when that happens, we have people that depend on us and that care about us a great deal. And it's up to us to look out for them, not only in the financial aspect, but also the emotional aspect. And in some cases, that can be more important. And so the big part of what Dave and I are trying to do is just get people talking. And I think that it's happening now, especially with millennials and younger. I would argue that statistics show that we're talking about death more. Where younger folks, there's been an uptick in the amount of younger folks that are getting wills. We're not as afraid to have these types of conversations. And I think that arguably we're coming around as a company at the right time. And as you all know, timing is everything. Are we too late? Are we too soon? Only time will tell. But I feel confident that we're here at the right time to move the needle and to help people and to help the ones that they leave behind.
Josh, you had mentioned you have a couple paying customers right now, which is awesome. What is the financial model in terms of for people that are interested?
Yeah. So we are a pay to play. We don't sell people's data. We don't run advertisements. We do that because of the privacy of the nature of privacy of what we're doing. You only get one name. We don't want to mess it up, and so at this point in time, we've got a customer can buy a single message. They can buy a message package containing 3, 5, or 12 messages, and of course, you get a bulk discount as you go up in the amount of messages that you're buying. And so, yep, we're pay to play, no advertisements. Maybe we'll have affiliations at some point in time that we could get some extra revenue brought in that way. But as of right now, we were exploring subscription models, but we were just having a hard time at this stage putting that into place. We just I think that might change over time as we continue to have these conversations. We continue to get demand up. We may find a home for a subscription type model, which I think, that's a lot of our mentors have said, you've got to figure out the subscription side. You've got to figure out the subscription side. That's how you get that reoccurring revenue. That's how you scale. And heard, appreciated, and hope to get there. But as of right now, this is where we're at.
I think you have a bigger problem than figuring out the financial model is converting those people who say they want, they're interested, to actually pulling the trigger and doing anything, right? Because you just articulated, hey, like, people don't want to have this conversation, right? Then to go even deeper on that, it's, hey, I don't want to actually verbalize this thing, right, about this loved one. So there's like this scared aspect of it. And so oftentimes I find that customer discovery can be very difficult to figure out, hey, these people say yes in any industry, in any business, in any kind of concept. Hey, these people say they want this, this is great. But then when it comes to actually, hey, pull out your wallet and give me cash, that's a very different transaction, right? Mm-hmm. And so you guys having the 41 conversations, that's great, getting people to say like, yes, I would love to do this. But putting those pieces together to get them to actually then do it, like this is probably the most emotional customer discovery to transaction aspect that I think Tim or I have ever heard, where people have to then do something very emotional. And so like it's going to be a very finite amount of people that are interested in doing this at this point. And you just got to find where those people are that are willing to go out and do that. I mean, there are so many people. The fear of public speaking is like the biggest thing to people. I would imagine this is the same thing as public speaking, right? Dave said this is the first time he's ever done a podcast. He's terrified, right? So then I have to take that.
Way to call him out, Zach.
I mean, he's 40 minutes into this. He's doing great. But I'm just saying, like, these are all the things that are compounding. And then you add the emotional side of people who don't want to be thinking about that, even like your chiropractor, right? That is a very dramatic and difficult situation to get through, to then share that message with someone for in the future. Like I think everyone is, I think the people are saying, yeah, I would love to do that. But then to get that to that next step is such a difficult next step.
Yeah. As I'm listening to this, I mean, again, it's just super fresh for me. And, but gosh, I'm just thinking $10 a month or $100 a year, and not necessarily having the message count per se. I mean, really, the only thing it costs you is storage, and storage is so cheap right now that once you build out your platform. But like for me, I love the thought of journaling, but for me to actually pull out my phone and start typing or whatever, I would much rather just talk into your platform. Or if you once you go to video, record a quick video, and just to reflect, and you're able to prompt that with like, hey, how was your day? Or, let's, talk about X, Y, or Z, and like at that point, like for me, you just never know when that inspiration is going to hit you. And if you just prod somebody in the sense of, hey, especially like the power, if you were able to like, if you know that they just took a picture, a family picture or a sporting event or honor roll or something like that, and then you're able to prompt someone, hey, do you want to share a message about such and such activity that just happened today? I mean, like that to me would urge you, and like then you like the whole, you would eliminate to be like, man, I never had a chance to share this or tell someone how I felt. And like, to me, I mean, that's just, I would totally be down with something like that.
And Tim, just to speak a little bit further to that, yes, you can absolutely do that on our platform. It's fully integrated with your, so let's say you wanted to do it on your phone because you don't have your computer with you. You can use link into your camera that's right in your iPhone or Android phone and do your video right there. Or you can, let's say you don't want to be seen, you can record an audio clip. Some people don't want to be on camera. They also don't want to write. So we want to provide those options for them. And then Zack, back to, I think what you were getting at, I think a hedge against that and an ally for us in this regard, and Dave, feel free to chime in on this one, is going to be some functionality that we're looking to try and develop in the very near future. And that would be the ability to gift messages. So said another way, I could buy a message and gift it to my mother. And so now I've paid Sunset Messages the message fee. Let's say I bought her a 5-pack of messages because I want to be sure that she sends one to me, my sister, my half-sister, her husband, and a niece. And so if I'm able to do that and buy it and then give it to my mother, so now all of a sudden I'm the one that really wants to use this product, right? I'm the recipient. I'm going to be the one that enjoys it. And so now, I guess the assumption would be that the hope would be that I'm now, hey mom, I bought this for you, so I've given Sunset Messages the revenue, and now hey mom, take a look at this. Please do this for me. I would really appreciate it. And now we have an advocate in that inner circle, so to speak, to help us move the needle there. But Zack, to your point, it's getting in front of the right people, because not everyone is our market. And that's absolutely correct.
It's just funny how times have changed in terms of, like, we had a whole box of all the different school projects that our kids have done over the years. And they're like, what do you want us to do this? No, we don't want this, and it's just, but now, if you were able to have a nice file that is packaged and you could see pictures and voices and just how the world is just transformed to the digital aspect of everything. It's just fascinating. But I just laugh when our kids were like, no, we don't want our school projects. We don't care about our report cards. We don't care about any of the stuff that you saved.
Yeah. To get a little philosophical with that, we're probably all aware of, humans tend to move in a linear trajectory, whereas technology tends to move on a parabolic trajectory. And so it's only going to get faster. It's only going to change faster. And the future is exciting. And who knows what's around the corner.
Yeah, I think there's just, I don't know. I like what you guys are doing. I think that you're onto something. It just could open up a whole new world. There's just so many different directions that this could take. And what's your perfect future look like?
Dave?
Wow.
In terms of the trajectory of the business.
A Super Bowl commercial was our goal. With a younger person sitting down watching the game and receiving a message from their parent or their grandparent is something that we came across during a business-to-business interview. It just kind of stuck in our brains that if we could make it to that level, that'd be pretty sweet.
No, agreed. And we've kind of to segue a little bit, we've been very fortunate in the amount of cheerleaders that we have in our corner. The customer discovery interview that Dave's talking about right now is one of the leading partners for Freedom Street Financial, who he's the one that said, guys, Super Bowl commercial, hear me out. And so that was just kind of a neat thing that we took. Also through some connections, we were able to get in touch with somebody who's quite high up in the Centera chain of command. And we've been partnered up with a couple of their breast cancer navigators to help. So first and foremost, we're gifting messages to Centera patients. I think we're giving them a 3-pack of messages for free, and we've been given some opportunities to pitch. I shouldn't say pitch. I think present is the better way to put this. To present at some of their support group meetings, which has just been an amazing opportunity and just, I don't know, an excellent learning experience for Dave and I. And we've also got some contacts at some assisted living facilities. So we've actually got a pitch, I think the 28th, at an assisted living facility coming up this month. And just we do have some very strong people in our corner, and we're very, very thankful for that.
And we want to be able to give these away to specific groups as well. One that Josh mentioned, any kind of terminal patients, our first responders, our Navy SEALs, special forces, just to give back to the community and allow them to have these messages and give them for free.
And to your point, Tim, earlier, I think it was you that made the point, cost of storage is only going down over time. So our cost to give these messages out at this point, it's somewhat nominal. So, yeah.
Yeah. Zach, what would be a message that you would want to leave behind?
I have no idea. Like, I'm terrified of that. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm like your chiropractor right now. I'm like, damn, why'd you open this door for me? Like, come on. like there are some nights where I'm like, you just get on that little thinking spree, and you're like, "Oof, this is tough." So
yeah, but it's interesting in the sense, like, at the same time, some people put their head in the sand, and rather than pour emotions out to them and tell them how they actually feel, like face to face in person, that this might be a platform for them to share those feelings. And then, gosh, Josh, as you mentioned, it's all gonna end at some point, and then to have that as a legacy message that's left behind, perhaps that's the way to do it too.
Agreed.
What was that bar you guys went to and met? Where the
Cuddy Sark was a little dive bar in Ocean View. Started back in 1965, I believe.
Wow. Is it still there?
No, they closed it 2020, later that year. The family that ran it just got tired and wanted to retire. They tried to sell it, but they ended up selling to a developer that's putting up a senior living apartment building right now. Sad. I have to drive by it every day. It used to be my second home.
Yeah, I mean, like, Ocean View's got like what? There's like Greenies, and there's
Camel's gone.
Yeah,
Lagoon is gone. Yeah.
Oh, the Thirsty Camel is gone.
It burned down, didn't it?
Yeah.
I went there once. That was a terrifying place.
You're not wrong.
I knew Greenies was wrong. That place was always fun. Wow. I lived in Ocean View for 2 years. That was always a fun place. The Cuddy Sark, I never went there.
I went there once for St. Patrick's Day, and that was enough. It was like 1 million people there in 3
Ocean View's got quite the reputation for St. Patrick's Day. What did they have, like 65,000 show up for the parade or so? It was some crazy number that showed up this year.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, they do it up.
Holy moly.
Yeah. I don't know. So Ocean View seems to have turned a corner, and it seems like a lot of people are buying property there.
For sure.
Yeah. So the conversation when you're talking to a more B2B side of this are they getting it? Are they buying memberships? Are they buying a certain amount? Like how's like the conversations with Centera go, where you're like, hey, you have all these patients, they're probably our customer. You can buy a book of this much. How do those conversations go?
So as of right now, I would consider them to be a conduit for us to reach out to their patients directly. So we have to be careful. There's no, solidified partnership or contract where Centera is buying Sunset messages and then distributing them to their patients. That's just not the case at this point in time. We have reached out to local funeral home director with some promising feedback there. And Dave, we actually need to reach back out to that gentleman pretty soonishly.
Yep.
He's pretty heavy into the pre-need side of things on the funeral home side, and he's also willing to take chances to provide services above and beyond for his clients. And we are one of the services that he is willing to take a chance on. So that's pretty exciting. Life insurance, we still haven't cracked that egg yet, that nut yet. Still working on that. As Dave mentioned, we're trying to gift messages to first responders. We're actually trying to get in front of the Navy SEAL Foundation right now. So if you guys have any contacts over there, please send me an email. Yeah. Also, estate planners, estate planning attorneys. We don't have any solidified partnerships at this point in time, but we're knocking on doors. So that's where we're at in that regard.
Yeah, it's interesting. I just think that as the younger generation, I mean, they're just so used to documenting their life, that this will lend well for them in terms of, if anything, who knows, maybe you're on you're early in terms of where you're at and things. It's just a matter of maintaining and keeping things moving forward, and then the market will catch up with you. Do you plan to bootstrap as long as you can, or is there are you looking into raising capital, or are you just going to bootstrap this as long as you can?
We've started to consider taking on investors, and we've started to consider possibly partnering with companies coming on with as equity partners with us in the development and marketing spaces.
Yeah, so as we talked about earlier, bootstrapping and being non-technical co-founders is quite expensive. So we right now may or may not be exploring at the incipient stages of exploring bringing on a more of a technical individual, bringing them on with equity perhaps. So that way it would help suppress our costs a bit on the technical side of things. There's of course some risk there for the individual that comes on, but the reward, I would argue, is there as well. And as one of my favorite artists likes to say, scared money don't make money. So, yeah.
Is that Pitbull?
No, that's actually Killer Mike.
Pitbull says it as well.
Oh, really?
But gosh, yeah, I don't know. I just think that if anything, I would like to see you guys execute as quickly as possible and keep on pushing out product updates. Yeah, I mean, I think that this just opens up a whole world of opportunities to the point where I bet you, yeah, gosh, I don't know how many, and they'll never to be released. Crazy clips that Zack and I have clowning around. How easy that would be just to upload that stuff. How many existing things are on someone's phone right now where they could just upload that and add that to their legacy? I mean, it's just a quick way to jumpstart that process.
Yeah.
And again,
there are zero of those.
And again, our platform allows you to do that with great ease. We've got drag and drop functionality. You can just go to your phone and say, okay, I want to upload this file. I want to upload this video. I want to upload this. And there you have it.
Yeah.
What's something you want to talk about that we haven't talked about?
Dave, have we missed anything that we wanted to get out there?
I'm looking.
What's your favorite dive bar that you go to now?
I'm a dive bar orphan. I don't have one. It's sad. I've been looking for 4 years.
Really? So when you want to get a beverage or get a favorite meal, where do you head to?
So Captain Groovy's, which I wouldn't consider a dive bar, but that's here in Ocean View, a little bit on the nicer side. There's also East Beach Bar and Grill, which is really smoky. And then Papa's Pub on Diamond Springs, also really smoky. That's the best I got right now.
That's a common question. We food of the region. What is it? What you invite some investors. They fly in. They want to talk to you guys, and they're like, "What is the local thing that I should try? What are you going to recommend?"
We like going to Varia or the glass light on Granby Street.
Yeah, that seems to be a pretty popular place.
Big Easy. We hang out there once in a while.
Josh?
Gershwin's could be good too.
Gershwin's, yeah.
Yeah, they've a nice, healthy bourbon selection, so I'm a fan.
And we like going up to the Ironclad Distillery in Newport News.
Ah, there you go. That's what we're missing.
Probably our favorite. Not really a bar food place, but cool place to hang out.
Yeah. Well, they got Benny's right next door, right?
They do.
Yeah, they sure do.
Yep.
Pizza slices the size of your chest cavity.
Zach, what's your record? Do you think that at one point did you think that you could do that challenge?
I mean, I probably could, but
challenge?
Is it the whole pie?
I think
the challenge?
I think I could do at least, realistically, I could do at least 6 slices, and then it's just pushing through.
Holy crap!
But I have told my wife that I have retired as a professional, as an amateur professional competitive eater.
I mean, just for context, you can't even
what do you
fit
think that weighs?
I don't know, but you can't fit that pizza when it's in the box. You cannot fit that. You cannot go out the door unless you tilt the box.
Right.
I mean, that thing is just ginormous.
I wonder what that weighs. I mean, it's also like the worst food to eat from that kind of perspective. So it's just all bread.
Grease.
It's all dough, right?
Yeah.
I'm not even worried about the grease. I mean, the grease, I guess, is bad, but like, at least if you were eating like a 5-pound steak, that's different than eating 5 pounds of pizza. I would cut it in squares too. I think six.
I think
I don't know that I could do it now, but
yeah, I couldn't even finish 2 slices.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
no.
There'd
split
have
a
to be a project.
Yeah, right.
I haven't had Benny's in forever. Well, it's a good idea.
There you go.
All right, guys, appreciate your time. This was wonderful.
Thank you so
best of
much.
luck to you both.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for helping us have the conversation, gentlemen. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You are welcome.